Okay, great. So today we are going to be starting the Tanya, as in starting from chapter 1. So, chapter 1 is quite a difficult chapter to study. There's a lot of nigla, which means there's a lot of quotes from Gemara's, Mishnahs, and it's a lot of an intellectual understanding. Oh, excuse me. Intellectual understanding of what's going on. And I'm going to summarize chapter 1 basically. Majority of chapter 1 is discussing five type of Jews, which are really three, or three, which are really five. Depends how much detail one wants to go into, but we're going to focus on the three. And let's start with the name of the Tanya. It's called Sefer Shel Beinonim, Book of Intermediates, which means the average Jew. The average Jew is in the middle, right? So that's the middle category. What is the average Jew? Really, any thought you have of the average Jew, take out of your mind, and that's not what the Alter Rebbe says is the Beinani. The average Jew is a Jew who is in control of his thought, speech, and action at all times. He's connected to holiness at all times. This is the average Jew, according to the Alter Rebbe. Excuse me, I just woke up. So according to the Alter Rebbe, the average Jew is on a very, very high spiritual level because they have holy thought, speech, and action at all times. And to be connected to holiness at all times is an unbelievably high spiritual level. If you can't appreciate what I'm saying, I really recommend you contact me and we can discuss this, because for a person just to do the right actions all times is very difficult. How much more so to do the right speech, not to let any inkling of gossip leave one's mouth, and even how much more so to have the right thought, not to think bad thoughts about other people at at all times. So it's a really, really high level. Then on the lower end of the spectrum, there's someone called a Rasha, badly translated as an evil person, but we will translate it in a way, a better translation, as an unrefined person, because they have the potential to be the Benoni, but they're not yet there. And they are not connected to holiness in thought, speech, and action at all times. Whether it's once a day, once a week, once a month, they're not connected to holiness. They're still not a Benoni, technically speaking. Or whether it's most of the day, they're not connected to holiness. Doesn't matter what part of the spectrum, they're still not the Bainani at the end of the day. Okay, this is the Rasha. Then you have the Rasha, the one extreme, Bainani's in the middle, which is a very, very fine line of being in the middle. A Bainani is an extreme, because for your average Jew to reach a Bainani is a spiritual extreme, in all honesty. Then you have the tzaddik, the righteous person. So previously, a person might have thought of a tzaddik as a giving person, as a kind person, as a person who maybe learns Torah all day long. That is not a tzaddik. Tzaddik is a person like the Bainani who's holy in thought, speech, and action all day, every day. However, the tzaddik, it's not a struggle. The Bainani, it's a struggle. It's a struggle where there's a struggle once a week, where there's a struggle maybe once a month, but where it could be for Bainani a struggle 50 times a day to focus in on his thought, speech, and action all day, every day. The tzaddik, that is not a struggle, that is not his free will. His free will is in a different realm. The Bainani, so to say, is swimming in the ocean, struggling to stay afloat. Maybe he's a good swimmer, maybe he's a bad swimmer, but that's the idea. The tzaddik is flying in the clouds, just to give you a basic idea of the extreme difference. So, excuse me, it's still early and I woke up early to get a recording out. So what is our goal? Our goal is to be a Bainani, and that's why the Alter Rebbe calls this the Book of the Bainani, because he acknowledges and recognizes the potential of every Jew to be a Bainani, which is an unbelievable novelty in the Torah world. And B, that we mustn't deceive ourselves and believe we can be a tzaddik. Can we strive to be a tzaddik? Yes, we can strive. It's very commendable to strive to be a tzaddik. It really is. Because the avoided the spiritual service is significantly different. But being a tzaddik is not from our own effort. Being a tzaddik is a gift from Hashem. That must be very clear. Being a Bainani is from one's effort, and being a Bainani is what is achievable from our side. Being a tzaddik is a gift from Hashem, and it's not by definition achievable outside. Why? What's the definition? The definition is that your average Jew has a Yetzer Hara. And this is the domain of the struggle of the Yetzer Hara. That's why I say by definition. This is the tzaddik, so to say, his Yetzer Hara has been transformed away from that of your average Jew onto a high spiritual plane, which is why tzaddik is a gift from Hashem, because spiritually he is different to your average Jew. He looks the same, he speaks the same, he does the same mitzvahs as a Beinoni, but everything about him spiritually is actually completely different. But from the naked eye, so to say, it's the same, which is quite an interesting thought. I think to a certain trained eye, to a person who learns a lot more about tzaddikim and the greatness of tzaddikim, for them they'll understand the difference and appreciate the difference. But that's more of a deeper level beneath the naked eye, so to say. So that's the beginning of chapter 1 of Tanya. Much easier to learn it the way I've taught it than to do it in the wording in text. I'm not taking away chas v'sholom, God forbid, from that learning the Tanya in text. It's just for the sake of these type of recordings. We're not doing this chapter in text. And then chapter 1 continues and discusses that the Jew has two souls, the godly soul and the animal soul, and that the animal soul, we're starting the discussion in chapter 1, and then we're going to end there. The animal soul comes from one of the four elements. Actually, the truth is, it's a mixture. It's a mixture of the four elements, but predominantly one element. So I'll explain. You have fire, air, water, and earth. Fire is the element which is the source of anger and arrogance. Air is the element which is the source of idle talk, scoffing, boasting. It's nothing. You see, air is like nothing. Fire is like dangerous. That's anger and arrogance. Air is like nothing. That's what idle talk is. That's what scoffing is. That's what boasting is. Water is the element of pleasures. Just like water makes grow all types of, is the idea of growth. Water makes things grow. That's the idea of pleasures. Pleasures grow. And earth is the element of melancholy and depression. Laziness and depression. Heaviness. So we are a mixture of all four elements, but we are primarily one, maybe primarily two. And the Alter Rebbe discusses this at the beginning of the Tanya, because by recognizing what elements we have, we are then able to rectify and correct our negative character traits. And that's the whole point of the Tanya is a relationship with God, is a guide to living life as a Jew. And one of the fundamental ways of living life like a Jew is refining oneself. That makes us a vessel for the godly light, for that relationship with God. That's one of the whole fundamental concepts of living life like a Jew. It's explicitly clear in the Tanya. And also that we have an inner struggle between a godly soul and an animal soul. And if we recognize where the inner struggle is coming from in the animal soul, we will know how, where, also to a certain degree, why, to a certain extra degree, why, where the struggle is coming from, how the struggle is coming across, and why, what is my purpose? Why am I here? And that's what I'm saying, to a certain degree. Why? What's my purpose? Is because this is my purpose, is to rectify myself, rectify my character traits, rectify my portion in the world, influence those around me who I can influence according to my sphere of influence, which differs per person and differs every day and differs in different periods of one's life. So that's the end of chapter 1, really. Yeah, there is more to go on, but I think that's good enough for now. And please God, we will continue on chapter 2.